Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if the anti-mask movement is actually a conspiracy theory. Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoy this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. Now, in a prior video about masks, I talked about how toward the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, there were mixed messages about whether it was a good idea to wear a mask or not. There was a fear about a shortage of masks for healthcare providers, so the public was discouraged from buying or wearing masks. But then the story changed, and now we see that wearing a mask is encouraged and in some areas even mandated to varying degrees. Our understanding about the effectiveness of masks has improved dramatically since the beginning of the pandemic. The results of multiple experiments now lend strong support to the theory that masks prevent the transmission of coronavirus to some degree. They are not a perfect solution, but the benefits, at least from a scientific point of view, are undeniable. One could understand that with the initial confusion, some people were reluctant to wear masks. However, the release of empirical support should have ended that issue. There should not be an anti-mask movement at this point, yet we see an increasing number of anti-mask protesters in the population. So it appears like something is going on. Something has deviated from the expected result. This leads to a couple of questions. Why has this become such a problem? And are anti-mask protesters conspiracy theorists? As it turns out, there are many reasons for the rise of the anti-mask protesters. I'll talk about some of the major contributing factors here. There was a study published on August 7, 2020, on the topic of face mask efficacy. I'll put the reference for that article in the description for this video. What I find so interesting about this particular article is how it has been misinterpreted and used to promote anti-mask ideology. It's a great example of how critical thinking skills are important when attempting to interpret literature. The experiment tested different face mask designs against not wearing a mask. The researchers measured how many respiratory droplets were getting into the air when somebody repeated a simple phrase over a period of time. The study looked at 14 different face mask designs. Just to name a few: 3-layer surgical mask, a fitted N95 mask without an exhalation valve, a regular N95 with the valve, a knitted mask, a 2-layer cotton pleated style mask, 1-layer cotton, a double-layer bandana, and a gaiter-type neck fleece. The number of respiratory droplets that were expelled without wearing a mask was compared to the number with each type of mask. The results indicated that masks were generally effective. To understand the results, I'm going to set the number of respiratory droplets expelled without a mask as 100%. How did some of the masks perform in terms of the number of respiratory droplets expelled relative to that no mask condition? The bandana operated at about 50%. The number of respiratory droplets was cut in half. The knitted mask ran at about 35%, so 65% of the expected respiratory droplets with no mask were blocked. The cotton masks ran at about 30%, all the way down to 10%. The N95 with the valve was at about 15%, but the fitted N95 without the valve was at 0.1%. Now, there was one mask, the fleece mask, that actually ran at 110%. So it performed worse than no mask at all. It broke up larger respiratory droplets into smaller droplets, which are considered more dangerous because they don't sink as fast. So wearing that one particular type of mask doesn't appear to be helpful based on the results of this study. Not surprisingly, anti-mask protesters have latched on to this finding as evidence that supports their stance. I think this really typifies the frustration that scientists experience when publishing the results of studies. Here we see a study that clearly demonstrates the efficacy of masks, and no sooner after it's published, it's misinterpreted. Now moving on to the next contributing factor. One thing we've seen with the anti-mask protesters is they tend to hold a number of conspiratorial beliefs. We see the most profound overlap with the anti-vaccination movement, but there's also quite a bit of overlap with other conspiracy theories like the faked moon landing or flat Earth. For some anti-mask protesters, this is simply the next conspiracy theory added to a long list of these types of beliefs. This is a group that buys a ticket for every film in the franchise, no matter what the production value or quality. Whichever conspiracy theory happens to be popular at the moment, they are ready to support it. So the first two factors explain some of the membership in the anti-mask movement. But this movement is different than other conspiracy theories. What makes this movement so different? If someone is anti-mask, their belief is visible and aggravating to the public. Also, this ideology, like many conspiracy theories, has taken on a political meaning. Some anti-mask protesters believe that if they wear a mask, they are acknowledging that the coronavirus is both real and dangerous. It's like they're giving in. They're admitting that science could be correct, or an opposing political party could be correct. Interestingly, anti-mask protesters come from both the far left and the far right politically, although the movement is more associated with the far right. So what happens here is that the conspiracy theorist looks at their own political party and thinks that they are being manipulated and deceived by the other party, and they look at the other party as evil. To put that in conspiracy theorist terminology, they view moderates of the same party as victims who are simply unable to see the truth, and all those from the opposite party are alien lizard people. They're not making friends anywhere with this particular movement. This is a popular framework for conspiracy theories, but it still doesn't completely explain why the anti-mask movement is so popular. Why is it gaining traction so much faster than other conspiracy theories? The answer is one's position is more visible in this situation. Classic conspiracy theories are difficult to promote. If someone believes that alien lizard people have infiltrated Hollywood and the government, nobody's going to know that unless they tell somebody. If somebody wants to promote their flat earth beliefs, maybe they could carry like a frisbee with some dirt on it. I don't know. It's really hard to make oneself readily identifiable as endorsing that belief. What could somebody do if they believed the US government faked the moon landing? I guess they could carry around a picture of the moon with a green screen behind it. It's really difficult to do, right? There's, again, no easy way to illustrate that belief. But anti-mask is different. Now people can easily see what somebody else believes and make inferences about how that connects to politics. This has allowed anti-mask protesters to incite confrontations. It allows them to be victims. And if they are victims, if they are, for example, told by people working at a store to leave that store because they're not wearing a mask, this proves to them that the conspiracy theory is correct. This is pulled right out of the conspiracy theory playbook. This is a common strategy. Failure to wear a mask is largely done so that people can prove that their conspiratorial beliefs are real, and as a way to resist what they believe to be a politically motivated initiative. The anti-mask movement is what happens when people try to bring a conspiracy theory into the realm of the applied. Put another way, most conspiracy theories are not dangerous because they are difficult to enact in the real world. But others are dangerous because it's all too easy to convert the belief into action. Not everything is about politics. Not everything is conservative against liberal. Some issues transcend the realm of politics. The coronavirus pandemic is one of those issues. So those are my thoughts on the anti-mask movement. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.